Why do people who say less seem to control the room while you keep explaining yourself and still feel unseen? You have felt this before, even if you never named it. You stay up late replaying conversations in your head. You wonder why you cared so much and gained so little. You believed that effort, explanation, and patience would earn respect and love. The truth is that chasing, begging, and explaining quietly destroys your power. And the most dangerous part is that no one warned you. This is about the moment you stop proving your worth and start protecting your energy. This is about learning why silence, when chosen with intention, becomes your strongest presence. When you understand this principle, your relationships change. Your mind becomes calmer because you no longer fight for validation. What you will gain today is not motivation. What you gain is inner authority that cannot be taken from you. 1. Chasing teaches people how to treat you. When you chase someone's attention, approval, or affection, you unknowingly lower your position. Not because you are weak, but because you signal that your value depends on their response. The more effort you pour into being chosen, the less choice you appear to have. Imagine a merchant in an ancient marketplace shouting desperately for buyers. People pass by, assuming the goods must be flawed or unwanted. Meanwhile, another merchant stands quietly, confident in the worth of what he offers. He does not persuade, argue, or chase. People line up without being asked because confidence creates gravity. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person's worth is measured by what they devote themselves to. If you devote yourself to chasing attention, you teach others that your time is abundant and your boundaries are thin. People instinctively respect what is selective and limited. To apply this, notice when you overinvest before respect is earned. Notice how quickly you reply, how often you initiate, and how much you tolerate. Step back instead of leaning forward. Allow silence to replace pursuit. Let people move toward you without persuasion, because movement reveals intention. 2. Begging erodes self-respect before it changes anything else. Begging rarely changes another person's heart. What it always changes is how you see yourself afterward. You may secure a temporary yes, but the cost is internal. You walk away feeling smaller, quieter, and less anchored than before. Think of a ruler who pleads with rebels for loyalty instead of standing firm in authority. Even if they obey, they never truly respect him again. The moment power asks to be validated, it stops being power. Epictetus warned that freedom begins the moment you stop needing external permission to be whole. Begging places your self-worth into someone else's hands. To apply this, replace requests born from fear with boundaries rooted in self-respect. Before you speak, ask yourself whether these words come from strength or anxiety. Ask yourself whether you would still say them if the answer were no. If your dignity depends on their response, silence is the wiser path. 3. Explaining invites judgment instead of understanding. Most people believe that explaining themselves will clear confusion and build connection. In reality, constant explanation invites unnecessary judgment and criticism. When you explain too much, you hand others the authority to evaluate your choices. You turn your life into a courtroom where everyone feels entitled to a verdict. The more you justify, the more people assume there is something to question. Consider the Stoic image of a rock standing firm against crashing waves. The waves do not ask for justification. The rock does not defend itself. It remains unmoved because it knows what it is. Its strength comes from certainty, not from convincing the sea. To apply this, speak when clarity serves truth rather than fear seeking approval. Let your consistency replace justification over time. Let your actions complete sentences. Your mouth no longer needs to begin. 4. Silence exposes who respects you and who only uses you. Silence is not empty. Silence reveals truth with uncomfortable precision. When you stop explaining and chasing, some people grow closer with curiosity and respect. Others disappear without explanation, and that reaction exposes their intentions. That disappearance is information, not abandonment, and it deserves to be observed calmly. People who value you seek understanding without entitlement or urgency. People who benefit from your overgiving grow uncomfortable when access is no longer guaranteed. They confuse boundaries with rejection because control once felt familiar. Seneca reminded us that clarity often comes not from addition, but from removal. To apply this, allow space after silence instead of filling it with reassurance or apologies. Observe who leans in with patience and who demands immediate access. Let silence sort your relationships more honestly than words ever could. 5. Power never announces itself loudly. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. True power does not compete for attention or demand to be noticed. It stands quietly, grounded in confidence that does not require validation. Think of a general who speaks softly while armies stand ready behind him. His calm is not weakness mistaken for silence. It is certainty built on preparation, discipline, and self-command. When you stop reacting immediately, people feel the shift in the air. Your pause creates weight because it signals control over yourself. Your restraint becomes influence without force, pressure, or intimidation. Others begin to listen more carefully because unpredictability has vanished. To apply this, delay responses that once came from emotion or wounded pride. Give yourself time to see clearly instead of reacting reflexively. Respond from clarity rather than impulse, even when urgency tempts you. Allow your calm to disrupt chaos instead of feeding it with reaction. 6. Silence protects your inner world. Every explanation drains energy that never returns, leaving you emotionally scattered. Every chase fractures focus and scatters attention across people and outcomes you cannot control. When you reclaim silence, your mind becomes less crowded and more deliberate in its movement. You stop rehearsing defenses for attacks that never arrived or conversations that never mattered. Mental space returns, and with it comes a quiet sense of authority over your own thoughts. Ancient philosophers believed peace came from mastery of attention rather than control of events. Silence is attention returned to its rightful owner, no longer borrowed by external noise. It allows you to respond instead of react, and to choose rather than chase. To apply this, choose one situation this week where you usually over-explain yourself. Offer fewer words than expected and resist the urge to justify. Observe how much lighter, steadier, and more grounded you feel afterward. You are not broken for wanting to be understood. You are simply exhausted from proving your worth to the wrong audience. The real problem is not that you care too much. The problem is that you have been spending your care without boundaries. When you stop chasing, begging, and explaining, something powerful happens. You meet yourself again. What you gain is not distance from others. What you gain is closeness to yourself. Today you learned why chasing lowers value, begging erodes dignity, and explaining invites judgment. You learned how silence becomes presence rather than absence. Where in your life will you choose silence over approval starting today? Share it below. If this message resonated with you, support the channel by liking the video and subscribe to The Art of Living Well for free for reflections on discipline, wisdom, and inner strength. Remember, silence is not weakness. It is the sound of self-respect becoming uncheckable.